Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and in this video I want to talk about the college dropouts approach to learning, which obviously I'm a little bit biased, but I think this should be everyone's approach to learning. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what it is and how you can adopt this mentality when it comes to learning. So if you know my story, you know that I went to college and I quickly discovered, so I went to college to learn how to run a business, and I quickly discovered that I was learning how to run a business from professors who had never ran a business. And that didn't make too much sense to me, so I decided to drop out. Now, when I dropped out, I said, okay, I dropped out before all the business classes. That sucks, right? Kind of the way they structure college. So they make you go through all these prereqs or prerequisites as they call it. And I got there and I said, hey, I don't think you understand. I only want to learn about business. That's what I'm here to do. They're like, nope, you got to take this biology class. And I said, I don't think you understand. I'm here to learn about business. I want to be in those classes. Nope, you got to have calculus prereq, right? So I really kind of got what I felt like was the short end of the stick, where I spent 2 years on the lowest value to me courses, and then I missed out on all the high value courses like finance, all these business classes. I feel like would really help me kind of have some fundamentals going out into the business world. So I always felt like I had this need to kind of overcompensate, or, I need to learn that somehow. I didn't learn it at school, so I need to make sure that I approach learning to where I learn it outside of college. So one of the first things I did, and really kind of this encapsulates this whole approach, is when I left school, I said, I need to approach learning as if I'm still in school. Right? So I need to, create that same discipline. Maybe I'm not doing 6 hours a day of learning, but I need to go through courses. I need to read books. I need to go to seminars, go to conferences, invest in mentors. Like, it blows my mind how people will spend $40,000 a year on education, right? They go in all sorts of debt, but if you say, oh, $5,000 for this online course or for this mentorship program or apprenticeship program, they balk at that. Right? It's kind of like my pastor would always say growing up. He said, I'm amazed at how people will pay $25,000 to get married, but they won't spend $500 to stay married, right? They won't pay for a marriage conference. Same approach, right? Real life learning from people who have been there. So that's the overarching approach. And one of the first practical ways that I did this is I said, hey, Mom, you got kind of all this money, you and Dad do, kind of all this money saved up for my college education. Could you maybe weasel out a little bit of that? I really want to go to this conference. It's like $800 or $1,500 or something like that. Could you use a little bit of that money to help me go to this conference? Now, to my surprise, she actually said yes. So if you're a parent watching this, it's one of the coolest things I think you can do for your kid is investing in their education beyond the traditional education system, because they're going to love it and they're going to appreciate it, and they're really going to learn a whole lot more than they would going the traditional route. So she said yes, and then that kind of kicked me off on this whole stream of learning. I haven't looked back since, right? Now, I'm not someone I didn't used to love reading. I learned to love reading, because for me, these books right here, right, that's a $15 mentor. Think about that for a second. People will go their whole entire life and learn all this stuff, and they spend years or thousands of hours working on this book, and it's literally all of the best stuff they've learned in their entire life in one book, and you get to buy it for $15. Right? Now, when people always complain about, oh, how do I get a mentor, or I can't find a mentor, I've literally got hundreds of mentors in all these books that I've read, right? And you can learn the best stuff from the smartest people on the planet just by purchasing and reading their book. So that's one approach. Courses, conferences. I would really kind of encourage you to expand what you view as continuing education. So what you spend money on, but also the amount of time you allocate to spend on those things, right? So that's really the two questions I want to kind of leave with you to think about is, how much money have you spent in the last year or 2 years on continued education? If that's lower than $1,000, I really think that's a big red flag. If you haven't spent $1,000 to get better, right? Because I'm a firm believer, it's a bit of a tangent, but I'm a firm believer that what's up here, people can never take away from you. Right? Money is going to come and go. You might make a bad investment. The economy might crash, but investing in what's up here will pay long-term benefits, and is some of the best money that you can spend. So number one, how much money have you spent over the last year, 2 years investing in yourself? And number two, how much time have you spent investing in yourself? Because if that's not a lot, how can you expect to get better? How can you expect to grow? How can you expect to get promoted? Okay, so that's the concept. I've also got another video on what we call sharpening the saw. which is really kind of more info on my approach to learning and also how we do it at Self-Publishing School. So be sure to check out the video on sharpening the saw. Also, be sure to comment below. Let me know what you think about this video. Have you tried this stuff? Did you go the traditional route? Did you not? Do you invest in courses? Maybe you hate that. Maybe there's a lot of stigma to that. I'd love to know your thoughts. Comment below this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. See ya.